Last school year, the number of books that were permanently removed from school libraries and classrooms quadrupled compared to the year before. But for the most part, Americans oppose book bans. 64% of respondents didn't want school boards passing book bans, and 69% didn't want state lawmakers doing it either.
Book bans, though, as we know them in America, are when books are taken from the shelves or out of the curriculum of libraries or schools, both being public institutions that the government does have control over.
According to a report by the free speech organisation PEN America, a third of the books banned from schools in the US have LGBTQ+ themes and characters.
When I first learned about sort of the widespread opposition to We Are the Ants, things were different. Usually if a book is challenged, the book stays on the shelves and there's forms that have to be filled out and procedures that have to be followed, but books were being just pulled off the shelf immediately.
I just kind of thought it was gonna be like a blip on the radar. I was wrong. By the time we got to January, I had hit 21 states.
My books have been banned overall in 35 different states. Book banning has become endemic in the United States. It's based on a bunch of very poorly worded parental rights laws that have sprung up in conservative states where parents are now...
There are counties in red states where a parent or a member of the town who does not even have a child at the school is allowed to go to the school and say, I don't like this book. And the library has to immediately take it off the shelf
takes
and
a
put it
kernel
on
of truth and concludes these examples are not rare mistakes, but a plot to sexualize children.
I think parents' fears are realized. They're looking at these books where sexual discussions are happening.
To me, it sounds like you're saying there's some kind of high-level coordinated effort to make more children trans and gay.
They had never seen. I think that people will use, the people that want to erode away at parental rights, the left, the teachers unions, they'll use LGBTQ or whatever may be the case at the time. Those are just tools to erode away at parental rights.
Parents, when they're sending their kids to school, they should not have to worry about this garbage being in the schools.
Parents send their children to school to be educated, not indoctrinated into ideology.
What ideology are they being indoctrinated into?
Education is a human right, and we should allow children to read things in schools because none of these parents are actually teaching sex ed or queerness at home.
Has a mandatory gender studies class. Is with our last school board election. We started getting mailers about why to elect these certain people to the school board, and in there they had the book I Am Jazz. And they said, this is what they're teaching your children. They want them to be transgender, and our school didn't even own the book.
And there's this huge argument that it's about protecting and sheltering our children from themes that are just too advanced.
Of course, I recognize that not every book is suitable for every age group, and some books may require extra care and context in how they are presented.
Ban books,
banning books outright versus using
we just need to get back to a system
These books
where
are not being
parents know what
that word has become a weapon to
marginalize
marginalize the voices of parents. Nazi book banning and the like has essentially been used to eliminate books from circulation. We're not doing that. We're asking you to keep them out of the reach of our children.
The sentiment that she's conveying at her very young age, and probably she's never even picked up these books, is attacking the stories of people.
Some of these books challenge children to think in very different ways. Some of them encourage children to be activists and to stand up for what they know is right. And some of them are just trying to encourage children, black children, to love themselves and learn about their hair.
Curriculum, it censors people from a lot.
But you know who book banning does affect the most are poor disenfranchised students. The ones that maybe can't afford to own an iPhone or have access to the internet. They rely on those books in those libraries. And you know that. You know that if you can control what goes in and out of that library,
that we are quite literally policing their books, quite literally willing to take the books.
The message to my daughter is,
what does it say about
Ruby was courageous. Be like Ruby. Go change the world. And make it better the way she did.
I asked my daughter, who is white,
teaches
did you feel guilty after reading the story of Ruby Bridges? She said, no, I felt sad. I said, did you feel sad that you were white? She said, no, I felt sad that Miss Bridges went through that, and I felt sad that the white people in the story didn't find something better to do.
They're totally focused on some bad words that are in the book. Like
damn, I can't believe that the word damn will get the book jettisoned out of school on its own, but that's really where the genuine focus seems to be. And despite
find the most dangerous
and they will say, this is what I think, this is what I've read, that we want to protect our children. We don't want them to read anything.
And they would say how grateful they are that their teenage daughters found my books.
Many of the people who are putting books like mine on these lists have not read my book. They've not read any of the books. Or if they have read a summary of them, they haven't really engaged critically with the topic.
To see ourselves reflected in the literature and the culture that we consume.
Because lives are not perfect.
Because we just want our story out there. All of our books are the maps that lead the youth and these teens down that road. And when you take that map away from them,
someone who isn't afraid to love
they wander aimlessly in this world until they are able to either find that map or, unfortunately, until the world consumes them.
But these things are really difficult to track. Those organizations rely primarily on public documents like local news reports or school board meeting minutes. There are lots of places where there is no local education reporter keeping tabs on this sort of thing. And so the scale at which this is happening is probably much larger than anyone is aware.